Hello, everybody, and welcome to ThorFixRoks podcast. This week, we are gonna talk about some really interesting topics. For example, why did we choose to do the podcast? We're gonna cover some heroes, which heroes are Doctor Strange, Emma Frost, and Gambit. Also, we're gonna mention some things that we talked about last week, real quick, before we kick off this week's podcast. So, last week we talked about Marvel not promoting MH 2015 enough. True or false, who knows. We also had a special guest, Doob Shaker, who talked everything about Colossus, all kinds of stuff for him. For example, the builds he's using, how he handles in all the content that has the game to offer. And we also introduced, I actually also introduced myself as the new co-host of the podcast. So let's kick off this week with the first topic. Why did we choose to do the podcast? Thor, want to handle this one first?
Yeah, definitely. I think I can speak for all three of us when I say that we started doing this podcast because we wanted to do something new. I don't know about any other podcast that exist about and they talk about Marvel heroes, but there are definitely a decent amount of streamers who also talk about Marvel heroes and play it at the same time. But I think the main difference is that while these streamers like DGen and I don't know, I think the Null Rage still streams, even though I mostly watch his YouTube videos when he makes videos of the test center. I think these people talk about what they see on screen and not what we talk about. And what we talk about is the problems, the patch notes, and the events that happen in the Marvel Heroes universe. And I think a lot of people use DGen stream as if it were a podcast. Like they're not watching actually what's on the screen, but they run the stream and they then run the game and they play while they are listening to DGen. And when something happens, when they hear a cool reaction from DGen, they just quickly Alt plus tab out of the game and they actually want to see what really happened on screen. So, what do you think about this, Selfix?
Yeah, I totally agree with you because podcasts are new and fresh, and it might attract the right people because there's many streamers out there, and some people might ask, why not stream instead? Well, streaming might be ideal because it's interactive and you can, interact with your audience and stuff like that, but many streamers are already streaming Marvel Heroes, and I think it's cool, but podcasts are what got my attention personally, so that's why I'm sticking with it. But at the same time, I didn't know much about podcasts, before it never even crossed my mind. That's why I knew it would be good to be a part of one, because no one really does them, not that I'm aware of anyway. So I thought it would be a really good idea to just do one on a weekly basis and that people can actually listen to you while you're playing. That's another advantage of a podcast, in my opinion. So you can just play and game at the same time, because sometimes, not sure about you, but music doesn't cut it for me all the time, so sometimes it's actually good to listen to something else.
Well, yeah, about the podcast, I decided to join just because I love to talk about everything about the game. I just love everything about the game, seriously. I mean, I was a Marvel fan way before the game was even announced that it's a thing. But when the game came out, I just became a huge Marvel fan. I mean, I have so many comics downloaded that I just can't even explain it. But yeah, I myself tried to stream, but my setup wasn't that good, and I gave it up on like the 10th or 11th day. So I decided to jump in the podcast just because I love to talk about the game that much, and I really want to get the word out there about the game just because the game deserves it.
Yeah, and the thing that I want to mention is that that we of course published our first two episodes last week. Well, actually this week, this Monday, and people asked us if we are on Stitcher, and truth be told, I didn't know what Stitcher is, but I googled it, and it seems like it's a site for radio stations and podcasts. So this will help people to listen to a podcast when they are on the road with a car, or they are just on the train listening to their mobile phone. So we're definitely going to try to be in a contract with Stitcher. Actually, there are some troubles that we need fixed because Stitcher needs a lot of information about the podcast, and we cannot just publish it there. We need another site where we publish, and then we um, send them our RSS feed, and we also have to write down the amount of people who listen to us. So definitely, I think it's a thing. It will be a thing in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, as you said about Stitcher, we just need more information about the entire thing. But Stitcher will definitely be a thing in the future because many people have already been requesting it on Reddit and Twitter and stuff like that. So definitely we're gonna keep you updated when that's gonna happen. Well, the reason I like Stitcher after doing some research is you can actually listen to it on the move rather than just, you know what I mean. So over to you for.
Mostly we start off the podcast with saying what are we going to talk about this week, what we talked about last week, and then we talk about the patch notes. But since the Big Ten event is still running and there isn't any patch this week, actually we're not going to talk about patch notes this episode. And instead, we're actually going to talk about cosmic prestiging. Isn't that right?
Well, with Cosmic Prestige, first thing that comes into my mind with these kind of events, whenever everything is running, is indeed Cosmic Prestige, is because I really enjoy doing them. Not because it takes a lot of time or it's painful or anything like that. I actually enjoy it because it lets you play the character obviously from level 1 to 60 again at a much lower pace, but at the same time it's totally different. You get a totally different feel of the character. You see the potential in different skills which you otherwise might have missed, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, it also tests you as a person. Do you have enough patience to do it? Do you love your hero enough? So sometimes you might think twice before you do it, but whenever you do it in these kind of events, you don't really feel it. I'm not sure if you did whenever you did your 4, but I don't know, I really loved it from my first Cosmic Prestige to my 7th, so I don't know, I guess I'm still gonna keep doing them.
You see, I Cosmic Prestige my Thor this week on Monday, and I was one of the many who said I will never Cosmic Prestige anybody. But since the event is good, we have Cosmic Week running, we have Omega Week running, plus you can get some pretty good XP from those Odin boxes as well. So I thought, why not? At least now I can distinguish that Thor is actually my main, and not only I know in my mind, but also people will see it because he will be the only one with cosmic color and cosmic name. So it looks like that you are kind of famous in our supergroup, and people know you because you have so many cosmic prestige characters. You are the one who has the most in our supergroup, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I do have the most Cosmic Prestiges in our supergroup, which is, well, 7. But I'm not sure if that's still the case with this event, because obviously I missed most of it. But if it is the case, then I'm still gonna try to keep having the most Cosmic Prestiges. I mean, many people already asked me if I'm gonna Cosmic Prestige She-Hulk, but I'm not sure if I will, because I'm not even sure if I'm gonna buy her. I did enjoy her on test server, but at the same time, do I enjoy it that much? because it really got to the point in our supergroup where people expect me to cosmic prestige a new hero, which is kind of crazy, but I do like it because it does set some kind of friendly competition in our supergroup. Many people don't even cosmic prestige, which I kind of understand. I mean, it does take a lot of time, patience, and stuff like that. But if you love your hero, I mean, just go for it. You know, even just try it once. If you hate it, fine. But honestly, with these kind of events, there is nothing to regret, especially with bus running and stuff like that. So yeah.
So my question to you guys, what do you, when you cosmic prestiged, how do you feel in the first 10 levels, then from 10 to 20, from 20 to 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, and then the last 10 levels? How do you feel? Are you in pain or something?
Well, for me, Cosmic Prestige wasn't that depressing. I mean, from level 10 to 20 and stuff like that, it wasn't that hard, but I was kind of looking forward to legendary quests because these are the biggest chunk for level. But at the same time, I did kind of look forward to getting the 10 level step kind of thing, 20, 30, 40 and stuff like that, because that does get you closer to level 60. But at the same time, I don't know if you think about it that much whenever you're starting Cosmic President because you know what you're getting yourself into. So, yeah, that's it, I guess.
Rockers, do you have any cosmic heroes, or are you completely against cosmic prestiging?
Well, I'm not completely against it. It's just I'm too lazy to cosmic prestige. Because I mean, it takes a lot of time, and I'm not a guy who buys potions. So first, it's gonna take me a lot of time to gather the experience potions I'll need to cosmic prestige. But then again, as I said, I'm too lazy to do it. If you like the heroes, just go ahead and do it. I'm just not for this kind of stuff. I barely prestige the normal prestiges.
As I mentioned, I cosmic prestige my Thor this Monday, so the experience is really sharp, sharp in my memory, because it was my first cosmic prestige, and when I clicked the OK twice, and I already saw my Thor spawn with yellow name, I was like, oh my god, did I really do this? And then level 1 to 10 wasn't that bad. I was expecting worse. 10 to 20 was pretty bad because you already need more XP there, but still you don't have legendary quests. 20 to 30 was okay. Same with 30 to 40. I had Cosmic Penta Boost running, which is 4 hours of 100% XP. At least that was the part that I cared the most. I didn't care about rare item find and special item find and the credit item find. But then 50 to 60 is really painful. And how I see it is like with the current boost running with the whole cosmic prestiging takes 12.5 XP less, not 25, because we have a cosmic event running and like 216% server side boost from Omega. I had always 100% XP boost running and 200% from my hero synergies. So kinda 50 to 51 and 51 to 52 and so on. Kinda these levels took me 1 hour each level. And now I'm currently, this is my 7th day of cosmic prestiging, and I'm currently level 57. And now my boosts are gone. I was unlucky with my last fortune card opening, so I'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, with Cosmic Precision, it's one of those things you always ignore different kind of bursts. You only focus on the XP, and that's pretty much what Cosmic Prestige teaches you. You never really care about Sith or Riff. But at the same time, do you think it would be possible for you to Cosmic Prestige 4 if we didn't have these kind of events?
No, I absolutely wouldn't have cosmic my Thor because I already bought Iceman. I think I bought him one day before the whole Big Ten event started, and I wanted to play him, but I decided to Cosmic Thor instead because this is a one-time occasion. It only happens once a month. Once a month, I'm stupid. Once a year, and this is something that you must take the ball and run with it. So yeah, I mean, Iceman needs to wait a bit until I level up my Cosmic Thor. Even though I cannot do it today. In fact, I'm pretty sure I cannot do it today. But with the Cosmic ICP and Cosmic Midtown coming, the Cosmic event will continue next week. So I'm pretty sure slowly but surely I will Cosmic up my Thor to level 60. And what I want to mention is that during this Big Ten event, we got a lot of currencies each day. And now I'm at 340 something splinters, so I'm kind of close to buying my next character as well.
Okay, so now we are gonna go on a break. While we're on a break, you can listen to this 90s X-Men theme song. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to our podcast. I hope you like the song. And now we're gonna talk about a little bit of Doctor Strange, actually, about his playstyle, form factor, build, and stuff like that. And since I recently geared him up and played him for a while, I can say that he's one of the heroes that I never expected to attract my attention like he did. I mean, he was the last hero I bought. I have the full roster now, everyone at 60, and he was the last one that I bought just because I thought that he will be hard to play just because he uses most of the time the two skill bars, and I thought I wasn't ready for him. But man, was I wrong. When I started playing him, I just couldn't stop. He's super fun. He deals so much damage, and I mean, he rakes everywhere. First of all, his playstyle. He is not very mobile in fights. He just sits there and spams his spells. But the damage he provides is just enough to cover for his survivability, which is not that high, but it also depends what build you're using. I personally use the Fangs build just because I like spamming mash button in the keyboard. And I think this is the highest DPS build for him for now. I think he has like 2 or 3 different builds that are viable. One which I mentioned was the Fangs build. The other one I think was the other one being the Daggers of Daggerod, I think it was called, which I think was more viable when they released Doctor Strange, but after that they kind of nerfed the daggers, so it's still viable, but I prefer the Fangs. His TTK is around 35 to 45 seconds with max gear, and which is pretty good. I mean, he sustains that damage pretty good. He's also really good for solving all the end game content just because he has so much sustain. He heals himself for like eternity. He has a spirit regen, which is also really high. He has shields, and the best he's mainly area damage, but his single target is also really great. Selfix, do you have something to say about Doctor Strange?
Personally, well, Doctor Strange is one of probably most complex characters in Marvel Heroes, but I think it depends on your kind of gameplay if you like to try him out or not. Because as you said, he is one of those heroes that you kind of have to be one on the move all the time, two have to click different keys all the time, switching skill tabs as well. It's pretty hardcore, but once you master that, I think he's pretty satisfying. But personally, I didn't really find him fun. The build I did find fun, however, was his AoE, which isn't really TTK based because it just didn't do great TTK. But I used to main him before TTK even mattered, so that's why I kind of enjoyed him. But after, I don't know. I mean, I feel like as a hero he kind of lacks, in my opinion. For me anyway, he just doesn't satisfy my gameplay. That's all.
So yeah, I played Doctor Strange as well. I used to do green raids with him. And as well, I played the incantation build, which is basically the area build that he has. I refused to play Fangs because I didn't think it's like enjoyable for me. Definitely, when you play Doctor Strange, you will need 2 hotbars at least, if not 3. Uh, Sometimes I refer to him if people ask how do you play him, then I just say, well, just play him like a piano. Play him like you would play a piano because that's what you do. You just mash the buttons, and Doctor Strange will just cast spells. His signature is definitely good. It's definitely something visually great, and I think he deserves the 600 Eternity Splendor prize because his skills are definitely very exciting to look at. Great, they look great visually, and I think the damage is okay as well. On the TTK ladder, I think he's not top tier, but he's not like the worst hero. So I think he's in the golden middle way. Is in the middle of the TTK ladder, fictional TTK ladder. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoy spellcasters from other games, Diablo or whatever, Doctor Strange is definitely the character you want to play.
And I mean, I was afraid that I would never get the hang of using 2 skill bars, but it took me like 2 or 3 days to get used to it. So, yeah, it's not that hard.
Well, to be honest with you, most heroes nowadays use 2 skill bars. Well, maybe not most, but many heroes I play. So I'm kind of used to it. Stranger wasn't the first one I was using 2 bars with, so that wasn't the issue with me. Personally, I just didn't like the whole spamming thing, with Doctor Strange. The more skills you had on cooldown, the more damage you were dealing. I just didn't like the whole, what do you call it?
The concept.
Yeah, the whole concept of Doctor Strange. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad character. He's definitely nice and fun to play. He's just, But you know what kind of heroes I like? I like Invisible Woman and stuff like that. So, as I said, Strange it just isn't for me.
Yeah, I agree when you said that most heroes use 2 taskbars and hotbars now because mostly how I play is I got my offensive skills on my very first hotbar, and on the other one I usually have my toggles and CC break and some kind of other powers that doesn't require me to use it that often. But the thing that happens mostly is especially Juggernaut that I forget to activate his toggle because I don't see it and I forget about it and it's on my second hotbar.
I must agree with you because I do the same. I use toggles and defensive skills on my skill bar number 2, mainly because you don't really want many offensive skills on your skill bar number 2 because obviously you don't want to switch between your offensive skills unless you have to like Doctor Strange. But at the same time, whenever you're playing someone like, well, someone different. You don't really have to get into much detail with the whole offensive and defensive skills on skill bars, but it's mainly toggles, as you said. So, but more modern heroes would have to use 2 skill bars, which is good because many people are asking for more hotkeys, which in my opinion just aren't needed.
So the next hero that we are going to cover is Emma Frost. He's actually the summoner, the ultimate pet class of the game, where you can just tame anybody in the game. Well, not anybody. Obviously, you can tame the bosses. Well, maybe sometimes Spire when he's bugged. But you can tame a lot of enemies in the game, from dinosaurs to Hydra. Hell, Hydra. So, and they will do the things for you. So, maybe for some people, Emma is boring because you can do nothing. You can just stand there and your pets will kill enemies. But I think Emma has some nice powers as well, with which she can do a lot of damage, especially with her signature, Kneel Before Me, which is amazing damage. And while she's doing it, she has 80% negated damage, so you're kind of invincible, and you unleash a physic shockwave against any enemy near you. So my question is to you, Selfix, do you think this pet class is actually good in an action RPG, or is it only working in normal MMORPGs? And does she need something else as well? Because we know from World of Warcraft that these pet classes, which is the hunter there, is combined with also with archery, and we kind of don't have a Hawkeye plus Emma class here. So what do you think?
Well, Emma is kind of everything in, not only in the comics but also in the game. I mean, when they called her an ultimate summoner, I was like, wait, what? I mean, whenever I think of Emma Frost, I think of her either as a telepath or as a diamond. I never really think of her as a summoner. I mean, yes, she can, take over like any mob she wants to. And I believe one of her uniques gives her Cyclops or something to fight along her side. But I would never really play her as a summon queen or whatever, because it's just not very viable, to answer your question, because I don't feel like it fits the entire game. But at the same time, as you mentioned about the whole World of Warcraft and stuff like that, I think it does sit there, mainly because it's a different style of game. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, Emma Frost just doesn't feel like a summoner to me. I mean, yes, she can mess with your head and take over your mind, and like she can here, but I just don't feel it works. That's why I think, well, what she needs is a review anyway. So in the review, what I would like to say is a much better summoner than she currently is, but I also want to see more focus on her diamond tree and her telepath tree, because there was a time where she was really good in her diamond form, and then I think they kind of nerfed that, and they buffed her telepath, and then they kind of, well, then obviously she fell behind because of better heroes. So now the people that play her hybrid, so Power Cosmic and play her diamond and telepath, which seems like a best option for now. For me, she's still way behind because her animations are just bad. I mean, it's nothing special. I do love her signature though, because her signature, fine, might not be a huge area, but it totally feels girl and you totally feel like Emma. So definitely signature is something that needs to stay, but they need to give her more attitude in her skills, the way Deadpool does. Well, maybe not so much now, just like we talked about it, but maybe after the review he's gonna have, the Deadpool attitude. So that's what I think Emma needs. Even though she did have her 52 review, but I don't feel like they did it justice, mainly because she was one of the first one to be 52 reviewed. But I feel like there is a lot of hope for her, but at the same time I think we'll have to wait a bit just to see where it goes, because her ultimate, it does some summon and stuff like that, but I don't feel like summon ultimates are the way to go, especially for Emma Frost.
All right, so Yeah, I totally agree with you that I don't see her as a summoner either. Maybe that's why I kind of struggled with leveling her just because I tried her diamond form and her telepathic tree build, but I tried them separate. I'm not a big fan of hybrids, so I never tried them as and never tried her as a hybrid. So yeah, I don't really not really sure why they tried to make her a summoner. I don't know.
Well, I know why they tried to make her a summoner because that's what she was in comics. I mean, she did try to take over, people's minds and stuff like that. But at the same time, there are obviously many heroes which aren't really going into so much depth from comics the way they do with Emma Frost. So maybe that is not the direction to go with. But I feel like what they're trying to do is make the summoner fit into two builds. What they want to do is make the summon build support telepath or diamond rather than being a build on its own. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you see, I called her the ultimate summoner because not because she has like the highest TTK between the summoners, because I think that prize goes to Iceman right now. But I called her the ultimate summoner because there's a wide variety of monsters, ads that you can just mind control, and they will be your pets. I think there are over 40, even 50. So that's a kind of a lot for an action RPG. That is.
Yeah, but maybe you should just use different words like ultimate, I don't know, mind controller or something, which she is the only one.
Speaking of ultimates, I think her ultimate is pretty okay. It's like a diamond, large dinosaur, and I don't even know what else she summons. I just always keep seeing the dinosaur.
Yeah, there's like a dinosaur, a spider, and some other stuff. I don't feel like it fits her. I mean, the one that keeps coming up are can't even remember the three sisters, the cuckoos or something. People always request that whenever I'm on her forums. They feel like this one is the one that Emma is known for, so I think it would suit her much better than some dinosaurs or whatever.
I think in her 52, actually not her 52, her QOL that's coming up. I don't know when, they haven't set a date, or we just know that it's coming. I would like to see some really huge buffs on mainly her mental build, just because that's what she's known mostly for. And then buff a bit her diamond form, and as Celtic said, probably make the summoner build like a support build.
Yeah, so now we're just gonna talk about Gambit. Well, I leveled Gambit not that long ago. I just wasn't so sure about Gambit because I'm not a huge fan of him. In-game, comics, or whatever. I only really know him because of Rogue, but in-game, whenever I tried him, I played him melee at first. I really enjoyed it, I was really surprised that I did, but it was pretty fun until I found out that melee wasn't viable because apparently something was nerfed, but I kind of ignored that for a while and I was like, okay, you know what? TTK doesn't interest me, I'm just gonna keep going. So I was playing melee, I started gearing him up and I started doing cosmic terminals and I realized I was dying a lot and stuff like that and it just wasn't really enjoyable. So I shelved him for a couple of months, then I prestiged him to blue prestige and I played him ranged. Mainly because I got a costume from Costume Box or something and ranged was much more enjoyable, mainly because it fit the Gambit criteria much more than melee did, because melee wasn't really anything special, and ranged, it was all about the cards and stuff like that, and it felt different than any other card. So I really did enjoy that, and he did have pretty cool AoEs, and the animations weren't bad. They are kind of outdated now, I think, because they're just pink cards after all. If you are looking for a fun character to play, I think Gambit is fun, but he's not really up to scratch. I think there are a few things they can still do to him, especially his signature. His signature is great on a dummy, and that's why his TTK is not bad. It's like in the 30-40 second radius kind of thing. But when it comes to raids or something like that, you don't really want to use the signature because it roots you in place and you're just gonna die. So I think there is something to do with his signature. Either make him that he is allowed to move, which would be kind of interesting, or just change his signature completely, which I don't think they would do, because they don't like changing stuff that's already made and people enjoy. So, yeah.
Yeah, so when I leveled Gambit back in the day, well, it wasn't that long ago, so yeah, but he was the only hero that I actually enjoyed playing as a hybrid. I mean, the hybrid may be the most viable build, I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. And I can disagree a bit here about his animations because I think his animations are really good. Even though they're not that flashy as other heroes, his animations are actually really good. About his signature, I think it may be viable in raids if you position yourself better or if you have the timer on the boss spells, so you can like dodge a boss spell and at the same time cast the signature while he does nothing or something like that. But I think he's pretty viable. He has not many costumes, but he has a couple that like look really great. Like for example his death costume, which really can make you play the hero. It literally can force you to play the hero just because the costume looks so good.
Well, personally, I have to agree about the costumes, because mainly the person that does the costumes, especially for Gambit, the Dink, is amazing. I mean, she loves Gambit. It's no surprise. So she focuses in every single detail of the costumes, especially the new one. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it on the forums, the X Factor one. I mean, wasn't a huge fan of when I first seen it, on a comic cover, but whenever I've seen the final design, I was like, wow, this was pretty amazing. I mean, the detail in the jacket and stuff like that, the hair, the glasses, pretty amazing. So yeah, when it comes to costumes, he does have pretty good variety. The shirtless one as well, everybody goes crazy for that, so they do buy the fortune cards for that costume. So when it comes to costumes, they will make you play Gambit, I'm pretty sure.
Even the guys go after the shirtless, come on.
Yeah, they do.
And seriously, if I someday get my hands on that dev costume, I will probably gear Gambit. Probably he'll be my top 3 played heroes if I get my hands on that costume, just because it's so good.
Yeah, I played Gambit as well. And when I played him, I didn't really think that ranged is viable, because if you play melee, you have Savat Expert there, which gives you a lot of damage rating to melee powers, some life on hit, and as well a lot of health and defense rating. So it is a huge, huge upgrade if we compare both melee and ranged. And if it comes to me, I would rather throw some cards around and have my bow stuff and do my Donatello TMNT stuff. But yeah, what you guys said about the signature is right. If all 52 hits can hit the boss, then it's all good. But if the boss moves away, then you're screwed. Like Taskmaster usually dashes away. If some boss is fleet-footed or whichever that affix is, or can teleport like Modok, then you're pretty much screwed. So yeah, I mean, I asked around and people actually like the power, but they don't like the fact that so many hits can just go nowhere and they don't hit any boss after all. And I guess the thing that could fix this is for the whole signature to give a root debuff. So once you hit the boss with the first card from that 52, the boss will get stunned, and he or she will remain there until the whole signature is done. I think this is the thing that could fix his signature.
Yeah, I actually have to agree, because it's one of those things that actually makes sense. At the same time, don't you think it would be kind of weird? Because either this stun would kind of have to be irresistible, which brings the whole fact, is it too OP or not? But because if it is irresistible, then that's what it brings up. But if it's not, then most like bosses are 80% resistant to that. So there's that. At the same time, I think that's the option, or just let him move in his signature.
Yeah, and when it comes to costumes, I think people buy the shirtless Gambit not because he's shirtless, but because the bandana that's on his face is just so cool. The black thing and then the red eyes. It's just cool.
Wait, seriously? Well, I don't know about you, but the first thing I noticed about shirtless Gamble is that she's shirtless.
I actually have to agree with Thor here that I really like the bandana, and that's the first thing that I loved about the costume. It just suits so good with his red eyes, and the hairstyle is just amazing. I don't care.
I don't know, whatever.
So, what's the average TTK of Gambit? What I'm reading is the TTK average is 45 seconds, and the guy here has around 4,580 Omega points. So I guess with 7,500, you can go down to 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, it's pretty much differs, but can be in the 30 seconds mark. I'm not sure if it's ranged or melee, but they're both kind of in the same mark. But it's mainly because of his signature that he can do it, because obviously the dummy doesn't move, so it's obviously not really a great testing in my opinion, but at the same time that's what we're gonna get, so yeah.
Yeah, so this was our today's podcast. We're coming back next week, and we are going to talk about the Cosmic Midtown. We're going to talk about the Cosmic ICP. Actually, I'm not sure if it's true, but I heard that Genosha will be upgraded and +1 encounter will be added. Probably someone from the S-Men. And we actually wanted this to happen. So if it happens, we're going to talk about that as well. I'm sure we are going to mention achievements in the next episode, but we are not going to yet talk about She-Hulk. We cover these heroes, and eventually we will get there when we get to the letter S. But next week we are also going to talk about none other than Ghost Rider and Hawkeye. So thanks for listening to us. You never know what surprises might happen in the next podcast, in a future podcast. So make sure you stay with us if you like us. See you.
Yeah,
Bye.
stay tuned. Thank you.